Welcome back to the channel. If there is one thing that separates Dungeons & Dragons from any video game on Earth, it's the fact that you can attempt absolutely anything. There is no invisible wall, no limited dialogue tree, and no programmed boundary to stop a group of creative players from completely derailing a campaign. Today, we're diving into a Reddit thread that asks, D&D players, what are the craziest stories from your D&D table? We've got murder mysteries ruined by houseplants, legendary acts of deception, and bosses defeated by sheer emotional damage. Grab your character sheets and your favorite set of dice, because here are 3 of the most insane D&D stories we found online. Story 1. The Potted Plant Witness. Our first story is a painful reminder to every dungeon master out there: never underestimate a low-level utility spell. My DM spent a solid month hyping up this massive, intricate murder mystery arc. We were invited to a grand masquerade ball at a duke's manor, and right at midnight, the lights went out, a scream echoed through the halls, and the duke was found dead in his private study. The DM had created a massive web of suspects. He had written out alibis, hidden forged letters, planned red herrings, and mapped out secret passageways. It was supposed to take us at least 4 sessions of hardcore sleuthing to figure out who did it. Our party enters the Duke's study where the body is. The DM starts describing the blood spatter, the locked windows, the lack of footprints. He's really setting the mood. Then our druid speaks up. Is there any foliage in the room? The DM checks his notes. Yeah, the Duke was a botany enthusiast. There's a large potted fern in the corner by his desk. The druid smiles. I walk over to the fern and I cast Speak with Plants. For those who don't know, Speak with Plants is a 3rd-level spell that imbues plants with limited sentience and animation, allowing you to question them about events that occurred in their immediate area over the past day. The DM's face just completely dropped. The color left his body. He tried to argue that the plant doesn't have eyes, but the spell description explicitly says plants can perceive their surroundings. So the druid asks the fern, "Hey buddy, who killed the guy sitting at the desk?" The DM, role-playing a deeply traumatized houseplant in a squeaky voice, had to describe exactly what the murderer looked like, the exact weapon he used, and the hidden bookshelf door he escaped through. We solved the DM's month-long Sherlock Holmes masterpiece in exactly 4 minutes. The DM called a 30-minute pizza break right then and there because he had to completely improvise the next 3 hours of us chasing the murderer through the city sewers. Story 2. The Diplomat in Disguise. Our next story is an absolute classic in tabletop lore, proof that if you roll high enough, reality is just a suggestion. In our campaign, we had a player who didn't want to play a normal race. He asked the DM if he could play an awakened grizzly bear who was a rogue. The DM, thinking it would be funny for a session or 2, agreed. His name was Sir Barrington. Now, Sir Barrington could not speak common. He could only roar, growl, and do bear things. But because he was a rogue, he put every single skill point and expertise he had into the deception skill. Furthermore, he wore a custom-tailored nobleman's suit, a top hat, and a monocle. The joke was that Sir Barrington's deception modifier was so astronomically high that whenever he interacted with NPCs, he would roll to convince them that he wasn't a bear at all, but rather a very large, very hairy, eccentric foreign diplomat who just had a severe speech impediment. Fast forward to level 10. We are attending a royal gala to meet the king. Sir Barrington is wearing his finest tuxedo. A rival lord approaches him and tries to insult him. Sir Barrington rolls deception, natural 20, total of 33. The rival lord ends up apologizing and praising the duke's robust physique. But then one of the king's guards rolls an incredibly high insight check. He sees through the disguise. He realizes this isn't a foreign dignitary, it is a literal 800-pound apex predator in a suit. The guard starts screaming, "He's a bear! That's a bear! Someone kill it!" The entire ballroom goes silent. Our party starts panicking, reaching for our weapons. But Sir Barrington just calmly adjusts his monocle, looks at the guard, and lets out a polite, questioning roar. The king himself walks down from the throne, looks at the guard in absolute disgust, and says, "Guards, arrest this madman! How dare you insult Duke Barrington?" They literally dragged the only sane man in the castle to the dungeon, raving like a lunatic about a bear in a tuxedo, while Sir Barrington was invited to sit at the high table and eat the finest salmon in the kingdom. Story 3. Boblin the Nuke. This next story involves the most dangerous thing you can introduce to a D&D campaign, a cute mascot NPC. Our party was clearing out a bandit cave when we found a single, scrawny, utterly pathetic goblin hiding in a barrel. He was terrified, holding a wooden spoon as a weapon. Our party instantly fell in love with him. We named him Boblin, adopted him, and refused to let any harm come to him. The DM hated this because he had to run Boblin in every combat, usually having him hide behind a rock. To make Boblin feel useful, our barbarian gave him a shiny rock we found in a wizard's tower a few sessions ago. He told Boblin, "If you ever get in trouble, throw this really hard." Boblin loved his shiny rock. He polished it every night. What our barbarian didn't realize, because no one bothered to cast Identify on it, was that this wasn't just a rock. It was a bead of force. It's a very rare magic item that, upon impact, explodes in a 10-foot radius, dealing massive force damage and trapping anything inside a magical sphere of impenetrable energy. Fast forward 10 sessions, we're fighting the BBEG, the Big Bad Evil Guy, a terrifying vampire lord. The fight is going horribly. The vampire has regenerated most of his health, our cleric is down, and the vampire grabs Boblin by the throat, lifting him into the air to drain his blood. The DM says, the vampire sneers and bares his fangs. What does Boblin do? I jokingly said, Boblin throws his shiny rock. The DM rolls a desperation attack for the goblin. Natural 20. Boblin smashes the bead of force directly into the vampire lord's teeth. The bead detonates. The vampire takes a critical hit of force damage, shattering his jaw. But more importantly, the magical sphere encloses the vampire. He's trapped in an impenetrable, transparent hamster ball of magical energy. The sphere lasts for 1 minute, or 10 rounds. The vampire can't get out, but we can't get in. We spent the next minute frantically dragging the sphere outside into the courtyard and just waiting. The spell ended, the sphere dropped, and the vampire lord was instantly incinerated by the morning sun. We defeated the campaign's main villain because we gave the equivalent of a magical hand grenade to a toddler. And that is why you should never, ever try to predict what your players are going to do in a game of Dungeons & Dragons. Between talking houseplants, bear diplomats, and weaponized parental disappointment, tabletop RPGs create moments that no scriptwriter could ever come up with. What is the absolute craziest thing that has happened at your D&D table? Let me know the story in the comments down below. I read every single one, and your story might end up in the next video. If you had a good laugh, please hit that like button, subscribe for more epic tabletop stories, and may your dice always roll natural 20s. See you in the next one.